Well, hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the session today. The first thing I want you to do today is get out your holy book of writing. And so take that out because I'll be doing attendance. And then while I'm doing attendance, you guys are going to be doing these things and watching this video. And so I've already started the video for you, and I'll be joining you live in a little bit. So the first thing I want you to do is go to your table of contents. And again, I'll be posting this onto Canvas. So if this moves too fast for you, catch it later on Canvas, okay? So here's what I want you to do is add this to your table of contents. This is page 13 in your table of contents. Some of you may have missed some of these other pages, and you'll want to, you can see what we've written right here. So you can always perhaps come back to this and add those to your table of contents later. So we're going to be working on this one here, which is figurative language. And we're doing simile, metaphor, and personification. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't fit the whole word here of personification, so I had to abbreviate it, and we'll put it on the title of the page on page 13. And again, if this moves too fast, then you're going to be able to get this from the recording. So it's figurative language, simile, metaphor, and personification. Now, this should be a review for you, but these are important things, especially these things, to differentiate between these two, to be familiar with all the figurative language and how it enriches the stories that we read and how authors are using them. And the more that you learn about them, then you can use them in your own writing as well. Okay? So I'm going to turn from the table of contents now, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you a simile page. You don't have to write this down yet. Okay? So this is a simile, which is a comparison of two unlike things using the word like or as. Okay? So it uses the word like or as, and we'll see these in our story that we did. In fact, I think we talked about one last week already. It's a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as. So the example of that is, as the girl was humiliated, her cheeks turned red as an apple. This is a comparison of two unlike things. You see, cheeks and apples are unlike each other. Now, a non-example is this one here. The girl is as tall as her brothers. That doesn't work as a simile because the girl and the brothers are both human beings. So when you're comparing a human being to a human being, you're not making a simile. So again, here's a tip. The two things being compared must be completely different or unlike each other. And not every sentence, therefore, that contains like is a simile, or as. Not every sentence that contains as is a simile also. I'm going to go to the top of the page, which is a song by Taylor Swift. Some of you may know who she is. She used to sing country. Now she kind of does pop stuff. But you can see that she has this song here, Mean, okay? You with your words like knives. So your words are like knives. So that's a good comparison because it helps you to picture how much the words are hurting, and the swords are like weapons. So your words are like knives and swords and weapons. So she's really comparing the words to three things. And down here, she says, you with your voice like nails on a chalkboard. So that's a really good image because she's saying your voice makes me feel like when you run your fingernails down a chalkboard. Now, we don't have chalkboards anymore in classrooms, but back in the day when we had them, if ever a fingernail, it's just this weird sensation and weird feeling and weird sound, and kind of makes your skin crawl. I don't know why, but it just does. And so she's a very good, it's a very good picture. It's a word picture that you can put into your mind about how it makes her feel. So that is simile. Now we'll come back to putting some notes into page 13 in a bit. So now I'm going to go to metaphor. So I'm going to turn my page to metaphor. I'll go to the bottom here on metaphor. Now metaphor is a lot like a simile, which is why we want to learn about both of those at the same time. So metaphor is a comparison of two unlike things by saying that one thing is dissimilar, is a dissimilar object or thing. So again, it's really the comparison of two unlike things, but this time you're not using the word like, or as. So look at this one. You see Dad is a monster in the morning before he drinks his coffee. So it's comparing Dad to being a monster. And because they're unlike each other, they are, another word for that is dissimilar. Okay? And then down here, this is a non-example. Dad is a boat. Although dad and boat are dissimilar, there's just no real reason to compare dad to boat. Sometimes the metaphors don't work. Okay. So down over here. Now, usually these metaphors will contain verbs like to be, such as am, are, is, was, were. And it can be changed easily into a simile if you just change it to like or as. So you can say dad is like a monster, and then that would be a simile. But when you leave out the word like, or if you leave out the word as, then it just simply is a metaphor. So again, these are very much alike each other, but they're different. Okay, one's called a metaphor and one's called a simile. Now let's go up to the top here. Here's a song, and he's saying here, I'm the beating in your heart. So this is the shortened version of I am. So there's the word am. So he's saying, I am the beat in your heart. Now this is a song, and of course it doesn't make sense without the context, but he's saying, I'm there with you, I'm already there with you, and I'm like that beat in your heart. So he's comparing himself to the beat in the heart, and then he's saying here, I am the moonlight, and I am the whisper in the wind. So he's comparing himself to moonlight, and he's comparing himself to whisper. This is really a song I think this man wrote to his daughter, and it was about a song where this man is off at war, and his daughter was missing him, and he's saying, listen, I'm already there because because you're my daughter, I'm the beat of your heart, and when you see the sunlight, the moonlight shining down, I'm in the moonlight and I'm in the whisper in the wind because I'm there with you. So if that's just trying to give you some context of that song. So that's the metaphor. Again, comparing two unlike things or dissimilar things, but this time without using like or as. Okay. All right. So now let's turn to personification. So I find that in my book a minute. And personification is the last one we're going to do today. And let's look at the definition of personification. Now, personification is giving human qualities to non-human things. Now, these are always fun, and these are easy to remember. As long as you remember, personification is making it's making a thing become like a person. Personification is making a thing become like a person. Okay? So here's an example. The sun smiled at the world as it rose in the morning. Because the sun can't smile. The sun, you're giving human qualities to the sun, and that just, there you go. Now, a non-example is the pink flowers swayed in the April breeze. Well, pink flowers do sway. They move back and forth. Now, the wind pushes them but although humans can sway, flowers can sway too. So this is a characteristic that's not unique just to humans. It has to be a uniquely human quality. And that's what it says here. The human quality must be completely unique to the human, and sometimes an action like the sun smiled or the adjective the angry wind howled. It can be like, you can be an adjective as well. When you put the angry wind, well, wind cannot be angry. That becomes personification. Okay? Looking up at our song, we might have done some of these last year as well, but so this is kind of review. The Wind Cries for Mary. It's an old artist, Jimi Hendrix. One is a really, really good guitarist. Most good guitarists will know who Jimi Hendrix is. And this is interesting because you can hear happiness staggering down the street. Okay, happiness can't walk down the street, right? So there's your first personification. And we got footprints that are dressed in red. Well, footprints cannot get dressed. And the wind whispers Mary. Well, the wind can't form words, right? So that's a personification. And this is a good one. The broom is drearily sweeping up the broken pieces. And again, a broom doesn't have emotions, so it can't feel dreary about sweeping up broken pieces of yesterday's life, which, by the way, is a really good word picture. And again, at the end, the wind is crying for Mary. It cries for Mary, and the wind can't cry. So all of that is really great personification, okay? So now make sure you've turned to page 13 in your Holy Book of Writing. Okay, so I'm going to remove this, because you don't have to have that for now. And we'll turn to page 13 in our holy books, and I've already copied this down. And so here are the definitions of those: simile, metaphor, personification, simile, metaphor, and personification. So we're going to copy these down now in our books. So I will let you get those down here. So I'm going to pause here for a minute, and I'll let about a few minutes go here. And while you copy these down, this is page 13 in your Holy Book of Writing. So you're going to copy these down. Simile, remember, definition is a comparison of two unlike things using the words like or as. An example of that one is: as the girl was humiliated, her cheeks turned red as an apple. So the cheeks here are being compared to an apple. Okay. And then I'll try to get both of these into the picture so that they're not too small. And I'll move this up so you can get metaphor. Now remember, metaphor is very much like the simile, but it's not using the words like or as. So it's a comparison of two unlike things by saying that one thing is a dissimilar object or thing. So it's just a comparison of two unlike things. It does not use like or as. So the example is dad is a monster. So it's comparing dad to a monster. Okay. Before he drinks his coffee in the morning. Okay. So hopefully you're getting time to at least get that top one done, because in a moment I'm going to move the page down so you can get personification onto your page. And again, if this is moving too fast for you, then come back and watch the Zoom recording. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm assuming that you'll have simile by this point in time. So I'm going to move it down, move this up a little bit. And I think I might be able to get all three of these in. So here's what I'm going to do. Move it up like this, and there we go. So personification is the last one to put down the definition of, which is giving human qualities to non-human things. And the example of that is the sun smiled at the world as it rose in the morning. So I'm going to let you get that copy down. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of things and give you a few more minutes to write this down. And then I'll close down this Screencastify for the time being. But go ahead and continue copying. If you're done, just chill for a moment. Okay. So you've had quite a bit of time to write this down. And again, I will put this recording um, up and available. It'll stay on Canvas. It should be already on Canvas because that's where I clicked on it for you to have it played for you today. And so you can go back to it if you need to get any of this copied down. So I'm going to close off this recording for now, and I'll see you in a minute.